Hi, welcome back to my story time with Nana. I hope you're really excited to find out what the Appletons are up to this week. It's very exciting. Let's begin. Chapter 4, A Trip to the Zoo. Wow! Exclaimed Patrick. It's a box this time. Sure enough, Mommy was carrying a long, skinny box over to them as they waited by the elevator. This sure has been an exciting day. Well, let's get home and figure out what this is all about, Daddy said as he pushed the button for the elevator. The boys were thrilled. From the moment they had moved to the city, they had met their neighbors in very interesting ways. They were loving the city life. They rode the elevator in silence, but inside their little hearts were pumping with excitement. Maybe we should wait until tomorrow to open the box, said Daddy. It's been a long day, and it's late already. Well past your bedtime, boys. Oh, please, can we just see what's in the box? I'll never fall asleep all night long not knowing, Alex pleaded. Mommy and Daddy looked at one another and nodded. Okay, said Daddy, but you have to wash your faces and brush your teeth and get into your pajamas first. We'll open the box once you're both tucked into bed. Yippee! They cried, and then they ran to their bedroom to change for bed. And by the time Mommy and Daddy had changed into pajamas, the boys were washed, brushed, and tucked into their beds waiting for their parents. The suspense was killing them. Mommy and Daddy came into their room. Mommy held the box. Okay, let's see what this is all about, she said as she lifted the lid off the top of the box. Oh my, she said. She pulled out two little cars. Well, they really weren't cars. They looked like trains. She handed each one to each boy. That's not all, she said. There are passes to the subway on lanyards. And this, she said, holding up a plastic elephant, but it was flat and its trunk was sticking straight out. What is it, Mommy? What is it, Mommy? Asked Alex. Well, there's a note. Let's see what it says. How many stops will it take to get you to the zoo? Wear your passes and hop on board. You won't believe the view. Can we go tomorrow? Asked the boys together. Let your father and I think it over. You boys get some sleep and we'll decide in the morning. The mommy kissed the boys both good night. Patrick and Alex were certain they'd never fall asleep. They were so excited about a trip on a subway and the zoo all in one day. They fell asleep thinking of elephants and tigers and lions, giraffes and monkeys. The next morning during breakfast, Mommy and Daddy told the boys they would be taking the subway after all. There was another note in the box from one of our neighbors. They want to meet us at the subway station today at 11, Mommy told the boys. So after breakfast, we need to get cleaned up and headed over to the station. The boys were so excited, Daddy had to tell them twice to slow down while they were eating. There was plenty of time before they had to leave. The children did as their father said and slowed down a bit and tried to eat their pancakes and eggs calmly. It was difficult because they were so happy about their adventure today. And once everything was cleaned up in the family dress, Daddy handed everyone their subway pass and they headed to the elevator to go to the station. I'm so excited I can barely stand it, said Patrick. He was fidgeting with the lanyard and the pass on his neck. Me too, said Alex. I'm shaking inside. The family got into the elevator and rode it down. As they headed out of the main door, both boys cried out, "We know the way, Daddy!" You do? Yes, we could see the station behind the museum when we went for our bus ride with Mr. Frank, answered Patrick. Well, lead the way, Daddy answered, smiling. And the boys did just that. Up the corner, across the street from Miss Honey's theater, they turned right past the museum and made a left behind the museum, and there was the station. There were a lot of people going in and out of the station doors, and standing right in front was a little boy and his mother. The little boy was waving to them. "Hello, hello, you must be the Appletons," he said. "My name is Silas. We gave you the subway passes and the zoo key." "Well, hello, Silas," answered Daddy. "Thank you very much. We are very excited about taking the subway to the zoo. Will you and your mother be joining us?" "Oh, yes," he said. "And I get to show you around the subway train and the zoo, my two favorite places. My daddy drives the train. He's the engineer, so he's going to take us to the zoo." "Well, hi, my name is Alex, and this is my brother Patrick. Thank you for the gifts. We're really excited about the train ride and the zoo," Alex said. He extended his hand, and the boys shook hands like grown-ups while their parents smiled and introduced themselves. "Well, come on," Silas demanded. "There's lots to see on the train, and Daddy's train will be here soon." The Appleton family followed Silas and his mother into the station and down a long stairway to the train platform. "Here it comes!" cried out Silas. "Here comes my daddy's train! We get to ride up front." As the subway train stopped, Silas stood by the first door at the front of the train. He pulled out a conductor hat from his pocket and plopped it on his head and yelled out, "All aboard!" They boarded the front of the train, and standing at the door was a very tall man who looked just like Silas. "Welcome aboard," he told the family. He escorted Mommy and Daddy and Silas's mommy to seats at the front of the train, and then he guided the three boys into the cab, the very front of the train. There were buttons and pulleys and lights. It was very interesting. "So what we are waiting for is for the conductor at the back of the subway to let me know that all of the passengers are on board. Look out the window, Silas, and let me know," his father told him. "Look, Patrick and Alex, can you see the man at the end of the train looking out his window?" I see him, me too," said Alex. There was a ringing noise in the cab, and Silas's daddy said, "Okay, here we go." He pulled a lever, and there was a sharp crackling noise and a flash of light outside, and the train began to move slowly out of the station. It followed the track above the street and headed down Broad Street. And the boys enjoyed the ride on the L all the way to the zoo. And Silas told them what there was to do at each stop. He spent a lot of time riding the subway with his father. "Here we are," said Silas. After thanking Mr. Vincent, the Appletons, Silas, and his mother walked a block from the subway to the zoo. It was a huge zoo. The front gates were enormous, and they were open wide to allow the visitors in easily. After everyone got their passes, the boys ran into the zoo excitedly. Silas, he was so eager to show the park off to his new friends. "Who has the zoo key?" asked Silas. "I do," said Alex. "What is it for?" "Watch," he said as he inserted the key into a small box in front of the giraffes. "The giraffe is an African mammal, the tallest living," came out of the speaker. "Wow," said Patrick. "Can you do that with all of the animals?" "Yep," answered Silas. The boys ran to the next information box and inserted the zoo key. They went from exhibit to exhibit, learning about all of the animals in the zoo. They ran through the smelly monkey house. They had lunch in the butterfly enclosure, and there was even a sky ride that rode over the whole zoo so they could see everything from above in all of the exhibits. It was quite an experience for both the children and their parents. The subway ride home was very quiet. It had been a long day. Mr. Vincent was done driving for the day, and so both families walked home together. They stopped at Mario's and had a pizza. "You have to come next time," Mr. Appleton told Mr. Vincent. "It was really quite nice." After dinner, the two families walked back to the village apartments together, and they both agreed that another zoo trip would be a great idea. Once inside, Mr. Vincent and Mr. Appleton went to check the mail, and sure enough, There was another surprise envelope in the Appleton mail bin. "Here we go again," said Daddy. Mr. and Mrs. Vincent nodded and smiled to each other. "What is it this time?" asked Patrick. "We'll see when we get home," Daddy said as he pushed the button for the elevator. The families rode the elevator up, stopping at the 3rd floor for the Vincent family. "It was very nice meeting you," said Daddy, and he extended his hand out again to Mr. Vincent. "We look forward to our next trip with you. Thanks again." "You are very welcome," Mr. Vincent told him. "See you around town," said Silas to the boys as he exited the elevator. The Appleton family rode the rest of the way up to their floor in silence. The boys were very excited to find out what was in this mystery envelope. I'm excited. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited. Thank you so much for coming tonight and listening in. I love you all. Thank you. Have a great night.